Hey, what's up, Mafis? Welcome back to The Commute, and in this video we're going to be answering an important Android interview question that has been asked once in a while in your Android interview, I guess. That is, what is the use of const keyword in Kotlin? It's a kind of an important question. It is something that we ignore on day-to-day basis, but yeah, I'll try to answer this in this video and hopefully it will make everything clear to you guys. So let's get started. Now I have my Scratch file open and let me quickly define const keyword with its proper definition. And you might have actually spotted const keyword once in a while in your API services where you define your URLs. You might have encountered const somewhere, but you do not know what's the difference between a var, val, and a const. We'll try to define the differences between these and hopefully it makes it much more clear. Let's first of all define what is const keyword. Now, I've quickly given the definition of const keyword here. It says that a const keyword in Kotlin is used to declare compile time constants. These constants are immutable values that are determined during the compilation phase and cannot be modified later. A const value is always at the top level or at the object level property. It means that const keyword is used for the values that are once defined during compile time cannot be changed. It means that these constants are immutable values that are defined during compilation phase and cannot be modified later. And what is the advantage of using const? It's actually that it inlines everything and gives us a performance boost, but we'll be looking at that stuff later on. But that is the definition of const right now. Hope you understand that. Let's take a look at an example and the syntax of const, and it will make much more clear to you guys. Now, my Scratch file wasn't actually detecting the const keyword. It's somehow giving me the error, but let's look at a normal KT file that we use inside of our project. As you can see, at the top level, declaration of const, and inside of declaration of const here. Let's not look at this right now, but this is the syntax of the const keyword. Const val, whatever we want to define. We usually define it in caps like an API source or base URL, whatever you want to define. Base URL. That's the convention of defining the const URL, const val, and it's because that this is kind of an immutable data that does not change after compilation. It's once set, it's set, and that's what we are trying to do with these declarations. Hopefully this makes sense. Now, another thing is that we cannot use var with this. It will start to give us errors. Const cannot be used with vars. Let's change it to val again, and the error goes away. Again, the value will always be derived during the compile time and not at the runtime. It means that if we try to change it, it won't. It is set for once and cannot be modified again. If you want to change it, we can use val for it, but not const val. Okay, again, those are the differences. We will look at the differences later on. Another thing is that this is supposed to be a primitive type. It means that the strings, integers are allowed, but not any objects, right? Hopefully it makes sense. If you try to assign it some kind of an object, I don't think so it will be assigning it. As you can see, it will say that const val has a type char. Only primitives and strings are allowed. It means that objects are not allowed inside of it, as you can see. So primitives are only things allowed. Another thing is that these const variables are defined at the top level declarations, which means at the top of the file. They're not used inside of any classes, interfaces, or anything. For example, let me define a char again, and if you were to make a const val here, const val base URL, again it will start to give me errors. As you can see, are allowed only at the top level in the name objects or in companion objects. We can, if you want to define something like a const here, we can define it inside of a companion object. Hopefully it makes the syntax very clear to you. Let's explore some differences between val and the const val. The first thing is, of course, that the const val is known at the compile time. Okay, this is some kind of URL, right? It's once decided, it's decided, so it will not change after once it is compiled. So that's what const val is used for. As you can see, I was trying to assign some value to API URL. As you can see, we cannot do this. So we can only assign val on the runtime, whereas const val once defined in the compile time, it cannot be changed. And we access it inside of a class once declared at the top level. Yes, we can. As you can see, we can still access it inside of a class. Hopefully it makes sense. Again, it's immutable nature. This is also immutable nature, but it can be evaluated after runtime, which means that if something is assigned to this after runtime, we can change it, but this cannot be changed ever once set at compile. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. The thing is, this is available everywhere, which means throughout the file it will be available. Whereas if you try to make this available everywhere, that is not possible. It is only inside of this car class. It is not available outside of the car class. If you make another class here, as you can see, well, name well, bike is name is not available here, but API URL is. Again, it is globally declared. Hopefully this makes the differences between Val and Const Val pretty clear to you. Again, if you want to read about this stuff, the notes for this video will be present in the description below. Hopefully it makes it much more clear. Let's try to actually look at some use case of this URL. Let's just say, let's call it logging tag. Okay, this is a logging tag that I want to use whenever I log or println something. That's what I want to do. Okay, let's look at message, and if we can make a class, we can say car. Okay, we'll say print function engine, and println. This will be our engine started, right? And we want to actually use something like logging tag here, and that will give us the logging tag and then the message that we are trying to print. Okay, we can use this, all of this stuff, and we can see the printing. Let's try to use it inside of a scratch file so we can actually see the output. Hopefully this would work. As you can see, it works. The car object has been created. Now the car.engine, if we print that out, what it will produce is, as you can see, the message said car engine started. So hopefully it makes sense how we are actually using this const val just for the logging purpose. You can use this some kind of tag there. So hopefully it makes sense. Now let us look at what kind of optimization does const val actually provide us. Let's try to actually decompile the code that is written over here. We have an object constant here. We have a val car name as Mustang, right? I have a Kotlin decompiler open. If you do not know how to open this, you can go to tools. There's Kotlin here, and then you can see decompile to Java. Okay, you can click this and this will open up. You can select the file and press on decompile, and it will decompile the code back to Java. Okay, and as you can see, cd details or screen decompile.java. So this is the Java code that has been decompiled, and this is the constants object that was created under the hood with Java. Okay, what we can spot here is that this is some kind of get name, right? And we are not using some kind of const. It means that this is using get function to return this car name, right? Some kind of getter is set in this function, right? If we were to say const here, const val, and then we decompile it again, another file opens up, and as you can see, the getter is actually gone. There's no instance here which is previously present right here. The getter is gone. And what are the other differences? The car name was being used here, string car name, right? Now suddenly the car name is initialized directly over here. We are directly actually copy pasting the code, copy pasting whatever is written inside of this const val name inside of this string car name, and that actually reduces the overhead, and the Mustang is directly copied into this thing, and that's how it reduces the overhead that is present inside of an val. Hopefully it makes sense, and this is how const val functions, and that is how we use const val. Hopefully const val and val differences are pretty clear. If you want notes of this video, it will be present in the description below. Hopefully it makes sense, and I hope you can answer this Android interview questions in the future below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.